Good evening. It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll start with an invocation led by Councilmember DeBartoleben, followed by the pledge led by Councilmember Adams. Please rise as you're able.
For tonight's invocation, I would like to read a poem from Knoxville native Nikki Giovanni. The title is Quilts. Some folk think a quilt is leftover clothes, but we know it is made up of love pieces we have saved and then sewn together. America is a quilt made up of different folk. We came together to build something warm and good. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, would you please call roll?
Councilwoman Adams.
Here.
Councilman DeBartoleben.
Here.
Vice Mayor Fugit.
Here.
Councilman Grant.
Here.
Councilman Helsley.
Here.
Councilman Honeycutt. Here. Councilman Lloyd. Here. Councilwoman Parker. And Councilman Thomas. All members present, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion on the minutes from the April 14th meeting? Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any items on tonight's agenda to be withdrawn? Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion to, I've got to look up my number. Here it is. It's, wait. It's 12.
W.
W, yes, thank you. If I'd flipped over, I'd found it. 12W. The reason I'm asking to withdraw that is the police department decided not to pursue that grant. So we'd like to withdraw that.
Okay, motion made to withdraw item 12W. Is there a second? Okay, second. Any questions or discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor of this withdrawal, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion to withdraw carries. Are there any other items to be withdrawn? Okay, are there any items to be postponed? Are there any items to be added by motion? Okay, are there any memorials? No? Okay. And then on the consent agenda, the items in red, before we hear a motion on that, Councilmember Honeycutt, did you have a clarification?
Yes, I just wanted to say I'll be voting on items E, F, and H. Will recuse myself from item G during the vote, which is the historic overlay of the amphitheater, only because a person from my firm is the applicant.
Okay, thank you for that point of information. Vice Mayor Fugit?
I'm just moving to approve.
Okay.
The consent agenda.
Just as one person has signed up to speak on a couple of the items, if you all want, just as it's still your decision whether you want to consider it on consent or not. 12V, W, and X has one person sign up to speak on those.
To all of them?
Mhm.
Well, Mayor, I have my,
Oh, W has been withdrawn, so V and X.
I have my light on to remove V and X.
Remove V and X, okay? We'll remove item 12V as in Victor and X as in Xavier from the consent agenda, and W's been withdrawn. So now the consent agenda is a little smaller. Does everyone understand what's on consent? All the other things in red. Okay, now is there a motion on the consent agenda as adjusted? Okay, motion made. Seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda passes. All right, time now for my mayor's report. First, I want to start by thanking everyone for coming out to the State of the City. The budget luncheon last Friday at the Urban Wilderness Gateway Park was a really good occasion to share information and celebrate some successes, particularly at that space, which was such a transformation of a former dead end to now a wonderful park and gateway. Councilmember Adams, you were a wonderful mistress of ceremonies thank you. You did a great job. And I just want to thank all the city staffers who made it possible. Mother Nature also cooperated. That was really nice. I've had some, we've had some less good weather in times past, so it was nice to enjoy some beautiful weather together. So it was also nice to share my budget proposal with council and the community. And as you know, your first reading of that budget is scheduled later on today. So that's our focus. Me and my administration is focused on first developing the budget, answering your questions at the legislative budget hearing on May 7th, and then there's a second reading of the budget on May 26th. So our work continues even as we consider the budget, and I want to make sure you guys know and are invited to attend some special events coming up. There's 3 tomorrow alone. 10 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to cut the ribbon on the newly renovated Pines in West Knoxville. This is a 152 affordable apartment community. It was originally built in 1978, and LHP Capital renovated it from top to bottom. And this is part of what the city has supported to the tune of over $500,000, about $510,000 that we supported this. And it's a classic, what we call NOAA's, naturally occurring affordable housing, that to keep it affordable is something that we want to celebrate and support financially. So that's 10 a.m. tomorrow at 5999 Tannehill Drive, and that's off of Francis Road, right off of Francis Road near Bearden Middle School. Also tomorrow, this is also tomorrow, is 11 a.m. The plaque will be unveiled at Covenant Health Park. It's a really big deal. We built a new stadium in our community, and the Sports Authority, the construction and design team, Denart Construction, GEM Associated Architects, all the subcontractors did such an amazing job last spring to meet a tough deadline. And it was such an exciting time, April 15th last year, the opening. Our soccer team was undefeated at home last year and league champions. The baseball team also had a lot of great home stands. And then there's just all kinds of other events there. So this unveiling will recognize the power of those partnerships that wouldn't have been possible without the partnership with Knox County, with the private sector, and it's really a happy occasion. So it also, as a reminder, finished on time and within the budget, which is my favorite kinds of projects. So hope you can come out and enjoy that unveiling. And also tomorrow, a project that KCDC and the city have been working on for many years. We're going to be breaking ground on the next phase of Transforming Western, 1:30 p.m. tomorrow. We've been partnering with KCDC and Western Heights community members and Beaumont families since day one. This is a massive, over $200 million investment that means enhanced access to economic opportunity, transportation, healthcare, recreation, and youth enrichment for thousands of Knoxville residents. Over 6 years, the city is committing $26.5 million to this game-changing community-led collaboration. And our next year's budget, the budget proposal that you'll be considering tonight and then the next month includes our next contribution to this project. The first phases have been amazing. I don't know if you've had a chance to see them. I love seeing the happy residents enjoying those facilities. We're promised a helping hand, and we're delivering. And so tomorrow, meet at 1700 Reed Street. There will be parking available on West Oldham Avenue in that area. Finally, rules of decorum, a quick reminder, we are here to do the city's official business. Those who wish to speak either to a specific agenda item or during public forum need to sign up with the city recorder before 4 p.m. Please do not use profanity, and when speaking to specific agenda items, you must stay on topic. Remarks must be germane to the question ahead of the assembly. That is, statements must have bearing on whether the pending motion should be adopted or not. Those who fail to adhere to these rules will be ruled out of order. For those who are listening, please note, if you disrupt a public meeting, you will be asked to leave or escorted out. Thank you in advance for everyone's respect for these rules. And that concludes my mayor's report. Are there any reports of committees or council members serving on committees or boards? Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to give a shout out to Knoxville Community Media and Director Amos Oakes for leading the charge in our area to educate the community about the American Broadband Deployment Act. The act was pulled from consideration last week, which is good news for us because we're worried about how this act could impact local media. Right now, Knoxville Community Media heavily relies on the franchise fees that are paid by cable companies. And this act could impact that. It could eliminate those fees. It could impact our own local control and our ability to negotiate and manage public land use when it comes to cable companies. And there's other issues with transparency and other things. In 2023, Knoxville City Council passed a resolution supporting the Protecting Community Television Act to keep these local PEG channels, public educational governmental channels, funding and accessible. So I just wanted to congratulate this wonderful update. It's definitely not over, but this is good news for the moment. I also wanted to announce that Knoxville Community Media is turning 50 this year, and I'll be bringing a resolution in May to celebrate this tremendous milestone. And Knoxville Community Media will also be hosting a free 2-day festival on June 5th and 6th at the Pilot Light. And I'll announce that again, but want to get that on everybody's calendars ahead of time. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any other reports from committees? Councilmember DeBartoleben?
Yeah, I wanted to announce two things. One is this Friday, the University of Tennessee School of Architecture and two architectural studios in particular, along with the East Tennessee Community Design Center, along with 7 local architectural firms who will be holding a First Friday event showing some models of their work, but it's about 2 specific sites in Knoxville. One's in North Knoxville, and the other is in East Knoxville, where these students are imagining what these spaces could become next. And so it's free and open to the public. It's at 309 North Central Street, which is in the Old City. It's from 5 to 8, and around 6 o'clock, there'll actually be a Pachacacha-style presentation, 7 of them that go really fast, where they'll describe their projects. So that's my first announcement. The second is that tomorrow, our own one Knox heads to Columbus to play the Columbus Crew, which is a Major League Soccer team, and I'll be getting on a bus early in the morning and coming on a bus back in the evening to root and represent our team.
Okay, there's only one Knox. All right, Councilmember Adams.
Are we moving on to just general?
It seems like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. I wanted to just say a huge thanks to the Knox County Planning group for the What's Next Knoxville events that have been happening. I see a couple of blue buttons. I wish I had mine on too, but those listening sessions, if you haven't participated in one yet, they're still ongoing, and you can go to what'snextknoxville.com to see the remaining events that are happening, and you can also participate online, but they've been really well done. When I first heard listening session, I wasn't sure what to expect, and then when I went to the one on Sunday, it was outside, there was all kinds of engagement, there were fun activities, it was not just sitting and listening, it was a lot of good dialogue and good engagement, so thank you so much for hosting those. I also wanted to give an announcement about Vestival. I didn't misspeak, Vestival. And that is a traditional festival that's been happening in the Vestal community for several years. And it's happening on May 9th. It is from 10 o'clock until 5 p.m. at the Sustainable Future Center. If you've ever been, you might have been at a different location. It changed locations last year, and it gave it a little more elbow room. But would encourage everyone to come out and celebrate in Vestal.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Thomas.
Yes, some good news for the Lonsdale neighborhood. If they haven't seen the press release, Project TLC, which had formerly been established in East Knoxville, Montgomery Village, and Western Heights, and it's a project to prevent gun violence. It's worked really well in those areas. The statistics have shown the effectiveness of it, and happy to say that that will now be instituted in Lonsdale. And also a little bit about the public process. Mr. Chief Noel and I were talking about it a little bit earlier. I think the public process, the input that was gotten from the neighborhoods, and actually several years ago, there was a gentleman by the name of Tyrone Fine. He was a friend of mine. He's passed on now, but he was a janitor and a custodian at Salmi Hill School. And he had neighborhood porch meetings where I would go out and neighbors would just come up and we would ask him, what do you think would take to solve these violence problems? Later on, Mayor Kincannon came out, Miss Middlebrook came out, Cheryl Ely came out, not necessarily at the same time. There were no cameras there. It was just these open discussions from the people on the street, really, about what it would take to institute better methods to stop gun violence. And some of these have been incorporated. And I know that Chief Noel has kind of followed that practice of meeting people on their front porches and getting that kind of input. And so the results are showing in the data. This is not the only effort that has been done to get this overall decrease in violence, and I want to thank all the other nonprofit groups, Turn Up Knoxville for some of the work that they did previously. But it's just a good day, and a little pun on words, Tyrone Fine, the man I mentioned, if he can hear me somewhere, it's a fine day for Lonsdale. So that concludes my council report.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Honeycutt.
Thank you. I'd like to sort of second Councilwoman Adams' sentiment about the What's Next Knoxville initiative that's just beginning. Ms. Brooks and the Knox County Planning is doing a great job getting that process started. There's listening sessions happening now, like she talked about, but they're still going on this week. The next one is tomorrow from 5 to 7 at the City of Knoxville Public Works Facility. They're fun, they're engaging. Just stop by. It's a drop-in. It takes 15, 20 minutes to participate and you can leave. But this is the beginning of a 6 to 9 month process of community meetings and engagement, and it's shaping the future of our city. So please help us spread the word to get it out there, to start engaging people and make sure we take that we all have an opportunity to take part in this process. So help us by getting the word out there so we make sure it's done well and done right. The other thing I wanted to mention was the Thursday night is the KPSHA, which is the Kingston Pike Sequoia Hills Association annual meeting, 6:30 at Sequoia Hills Presbyterian Church. Myself, County Commissioner Shane Jackson, and School Board Member Kat Bike will be there to talk about all of the great things going on in our city. So if you're interested, please come out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. Two things under my general announcements. I'll start with follow-up to the updates shared by Councilmember Thomas. I also have a lot of questions about the Project TLC zones that continue to go unanswered. And some of the things that were mentioned were the good results that we're seeing, the good outcomes that we're seeing. And that's the information that I would like to see. What I'm hearing, I hear the program lifted up by folks sitting here around this table, but I'm not hearing it lifted up by the community members. I'm continuing to get tagged on social media, called, contacted about concerning incidents with KPD. We have an agenda item on our agenda today to increase our funding to the law department because of the lawsuits that have come up against the city. So I think, rather than just saying we're seeing good results, we deserve more information about what results we are seeing. Are the results purely within criminal justice, or are we seeing some of those efforts by community-led groups that are moving folks from a cycle of violence, out of that circumstance. I would love to celebrate those things, but I just haven't been shared that information. So I hope to get that. I've made another request, and I hope that we'll get that information soon. The other thing that I did want to announce is a gathering tomorrow evening at 5:30. It's from 5:30 to 7 at Ola's Southern Cuisine, and that address is 7220 Chapman Highway, and this is the continued gathering of council members and an opportunity for you to meet us in a more casual setting. And again, this is an ongoing, I don't know if it's going to be monthly, but perhaps monthly opportunity to engage with council members. And so some of us will be there, some of us will be at each one, but not necessarily all of us. So just keep that in mind, and hope to see some of you all tomorrow at Ola's Southern Cuisine on Chapman Highway, 5:30.
Thank you. Councilmember Parker, we did receive your email at 3:52 today, PM, and we'll get a response to you as soon as we can.
And just a reminder, that's the same question I asked at the budget retreat.
Yeah, and
So it's just a reminder, but it's not.
we'll answer it again and share it with all of
No,
council.
you haven't answered.
Okay.
How many people have benefited from Project TLC and taken advantage of the social services?
We'll give you an answer and share it with all of council. And also, if you want a whole workshop on it later, that's fine too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We're really proud of our results and happy to share that. Okay, any other council member reports or announcements? Seeing none, we'll move on with the agenda.
9B is a resolution appointing Jack Coker to serve as the 4th District Representative on the Knoxville Golf Course Advisory Committee for a term expiring December 18, 2029.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
9C is a resolution appointing Garrett Howe to serve as the 3rd District Representative on the Knoxville Golf Course Advisory Committee for a term expiring December 18, 2029.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, Councilmember Grant? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
9D is a resolution reappointing Curtis Brown to serve as the 6th District Representative on the Knoxville Golf Course Advisory Committee for a term expiring December 18, 2029.
Move to approve.
Okay, motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12I is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated to provide professional design services for the Chapman Highway Improvements Project in an amount not to exceed $565,300.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Councilmember Parker.
Oh, I think it would be good if we could just go over a quick description of what this process will look like moving forward.
Mr. Clabo?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Tom Clable, Engineering Director. So this project is really a Vision Zero initiative. So through that program, we, back in 2023, implemented a Vision Zero action plan. That qualified us for Safe Streets for All grant funding, which is the funding we're using for this. It's 80% federal funds. And basically, we're looking at essentially a 5-lane corridor along Chapman Highway that's primarily used for vehicles, very little pedestrian facilities or bike facilities along that, multimodal facilities along that corridor. We want to look at ways to make that more of a urban boulevard, kind of, and I've been using Magnolia as an example of the work that we did over on Magnolia near Jessamine. So I could envision being some landscape medians, really trying to limit or minimize those conflict points between vehicles and bikes and pedestrians. Also, we will incorporate a sidewalk on the east side of the road and a shared use path 10 feet wide on the west side of the road. So it separates those bikes and peds from the vehicles, and then trying to lower those speeds along that corridor. We've had, over the last 5 years, 8 either fatalities or serious crashes along that corridor. 5 of those involve pedestrians. And so it's a corridor that's been identified on our high injury network in our action plan, and so we're trying to address those issues.
And as the process moves along, there'll be a public meeting to update the public on this?
That's correct.
Plans?
There'll be stakeholder meetings and a public meeting to go through that process, yes.
Wonderful, thank you.
Councilmember Adams?
Yeah, thank you for going through the description. I just want to say thank you for leading this process. I am so excited about this work beginning, and I know it's a long process, but I'm looking forward to the day when we have those different pathways that keep people safe. So thank you.
Councilmember Honeycutt?
Just really quick, I think you skimmed over a pretty important part, which is we're getting a significant amount of money from the federal government for this work too, right? So we're leveraging some city dollars, but it's a pretty, almost 17.8 or something like that million from the federal government.
That's correct.
So it's a great use of city dollars to then leverage larger sums of money from the federal government to improve our city. So it's a win-win. And the second, the Councilwoman Adams and Councilwoman Parker's, sentiments about getting great community input in the process. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12J is a resolution expressing appreciation to the United Way of Greater Knoxville and generous contributors to our community for the donation of $440,000 to be used for the Affordable Housing Fund and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary to accept said donation.
Second.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12K is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary to award an amount not to exceed $440,000 from the Affordable Rental Housing Fund to Knoxville Habitat for Humanity for the development of 22 affordable multifamily housing units for home ownership to be located at 4325 Pinehurst Drive, as more specifically described herein, 4th District.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Councilmember DeBartolome, did you?
Yeah, I would like to just add one thing. I've been told it's been almost 10 years since Habitat for Humanity has been able to do a project within city limits. And so that particularly excites me about this one.
Thank you. We do have one person signed up to speak in favor of this, Mr. Drew Harper. If you could come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Hey, I'm Drew Harper. I am at 1205 Kenyon Street. I am speaking in support of this item. I think it is absolutely appropriate for the city to chip in from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for this project. I was part of Justice Knox when we were first working on getting the mayoral candidates to commit to the Housing Trust Fund. That was like 10 years ago, so it's really great to see some fruits of that labor. I think that the proposed development is almost too good. It's like tailor-made to address everybody's complaints of it's not displacing anyone, it's on virgin ground, it's not tearing down any historic buildings, the church is being preserved, a new church is already there. It's not rentals, it's home ownership, it's not for wealthy people, it's income restricted. So it's not a 100-foot apartment tower, it's a series of duplexes, and it's in city limits, it's infill, so we know that that's better for infrastructure, roads, sidewalks, sewers, KUB, fiber, internet, all those things are cheaper when we build denser, and of course we know our choices are density or sprawl or homelessness. I want to leave you with one or two things. You decide. Just one. At the neighborhood association meeting that I attended where there was some opposition to this, one of the things I mentioned was school overcrowding, which drove me insane because the exact opposite is true. Belmorris is losing students. It has lost almost 200 students in the past 40 years, which is a massive decline. And in getting some new life into the neighborhood and people with children that will go to this school, which is one of the only schools you can walk to in Knoxville. I used to drive by Belmorris every day and see people walking, and I really want the school to not close and stay the active, vibrant part of our community. And the only way to do that is to not freeze our communities in amber, but to allow them to grow and change and people move in and out. And that is part of why one of, yes, Knoxville's tenets is, I try to say housing choice, because the more different kinds of things we build, it allows people to move from one type of home to another as their needs change, and it contributes overall to the vibrant community. So I thank you for supporting this item. Thanks.
Thank you. Council Member Parker?
Oh, thank you,
That
Mayor.
concludes the people who signed up to speak on this.
Well, I just wanted to kind of echo what Councilmember DeBartolome stated, that it has been quite some time since we've had a Habitat for Humanity project come before us, and I don't think there's been one since I've been on council, and I believe the last one I remember was while I was running for city council. And at that time, this room was full of people in opposition to that project. That was approved that night. And folks, reached out to me about this project. And I said, things have shifted in Knoxville, and there's such a need for housing. There may be some folks who speak some opposition to it, but we're definitely not seeing what we saw, even 5 years ago. I think there's a new understanding of the need, and particularly for single-family homes. This one is actually townhouses, 2-unit townhouses rather than duplexes. So 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2.5-bath homes, but the type of housing that we need developed at affordable rates in addition to the rental and other types. So I'm excited for this development and excited to support it tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember Thomas?
Yes, part of the reason why this one is probably being accepted where earlier ones 10 years ago weren't is there's been an improvement by design of Habitat for Humanity. And so this one is townhouses, as Councilperson Parker said. It's not duplexes or not, duplexes, I'm sorry. And then just earlier issues years ago, there were significant opposition in some neighborhoods, and it mainly had to do with the design of the houses. And at that time, Habitat for Humanity was advocating for some houses that just completely did not fit in the neighborhood. That's just a fact. And it wasn't good for the future residents of those houses because they were given houses, but they stuck out in a neighborhood where you could drive down the street and everybody could identify that as a low-income house. And there was a specific example in Oakwood, Lincoln Park, and this was years ago, where the neighborhood association, had some resistance, but they sat down and talked to Habitat for Humanity, and they tweaked the design of it, and you can drive down the street and you can't tell at all that that's not anything other than a market value house. So there's a reason why there was resistance in the past for some of the designs, but I'm happy to see the improvement and that there was no significant opposition. So just some commentary on that, and that's kind of the reason why there's been a hiatus. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further lights on, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12L is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to agreements number C-22-0082 and C-24-0067 with Knoxville's Community Development Corporation for Phases 3 and 4 infrastructure to reallocate the remaining funding designated for use on those earlier phases to any work contemplated in the site's master plan for the revitalization of the Austin Homes redevelopment and surrounding areas of East Knoxville, 6th District.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12M is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute documents for the purchase of tax parcel 094LE027, known as 314 Union Avenue, from Knoxville Hotel Partners, LLC, for the purchase price of $450,000 and to execute documents for the assumption of a lease of tax parcel 094LE029, an adjoining parcel at the corner of Union Avenue and Strong Street, identified as 0 Union Avenue, which is presently leased by the various beneficiaries of the estate of Bridget Kirk to Knoxville Hotel Partners, LLC, 6th District.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Councilmember Grant. Oh, no, just, okay. Any further questions or discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12N is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a collaboration and grant agreement with Legacy Parks Foundation in an amount not to exceed $150,000.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12O is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Legacy Parks Foundation for the collaborative use of the Urban Wilderness trademark.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12P is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement with Legacy Parks Foundation for water access at Bicentennial Park for a non-motorized boat launch and the Gateway Pavilion building for $1,000 per month for the purposes of providing recreational programs.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I did want to note, Carol Evans is here, and appreciate your partnership with the city on so many efforts. Thank you. Next item, please.
12Q is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Lakeshore Park Conservancy to provide budgetary support for administrative costs associated with managing Lakeshore Park in an annual amount not to exceed $50,000.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Councilmember Honeycutt?
Oh, just real quick, I'm in favor of this, obviously, but I just wanted to, again, commend this as an opportunity where, city funds are being leveraged with private money in this instance in Lakeshore Park to manage it through the Conservancy. And it's a great example, again, of partnership and use of city money to have a greater impact. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, you're done. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Julianne Foy, for being here and for all you've done. I know you're looking for a successor, so we appreciate all that you've done for Lakeshore Park Conservancy and in partnership with the city. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
12R is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents to award a total amount not to exceed $60,000 from the Historic Preservation and Facade Improvement Program to Governor William Blount Mansion Association for restoration of the William Blount Mansion located at 200 West Hill Avenue, 6th District.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Councilmember Parker.
Yes. Following up on our conversation at the grant-making workshop, this is another area where I'm more interested in the funding that we allocate and award through programs that don't have a clear application process. And what does this process look like to determine who is allocated funding through the Historic Preservation and Facade Improvement Program?
Ms. Justice, would you answer that, please?
Sure. These, for the Historic and Facade Program, similar to our pilot and TIF applications, they go through the public-private partnership application process, which starts really with a conversation to get to know the project and its context and how it fits within our key development priorities. So I had mentioned that many of our public-private partnership tools are tailored to meet the needs of various scales and complexities of projects. And this one is a really great example. So as we get to know the project intent and the project scale, the public-private partnership review team approves those as they align with key development priorities. And then the staff works with the applicant and our legal team to craft a document for, in this case, a development agreement for this funding to support their project.
And that's just a year-round process?
Yes, it's on a case-by-case basis and as funding is available.
And so what I'm trying to understand is when we have funding that can be allocated that doesn't necessarily need to go through a competitive process. Would you consider this a competitive process?
I don't know that competitive is the right word. It's these projects are evaluated on how they align with our key development priorities. So are they suitable and appropriate for the area that they're in and per the project context?
And how do people know to apply?
We have resources on our webpage on the Historic and Facade Program, and also a step-by-step process on the public-private partnership page.
Mm-hmm. And this is, so we also have a separate facade program through the housing, maybe two other facade, they're not.
That program, our facade and historic program in the past was facilitated by Housing and Neighborhood Development, but since we've created the public and private partnership process, those programs have been aligned with our key development priorities just to simplify the group.
Okay, so any facade funding is going to go through you?
Correct.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We want to thank David Hearns for being here from Blunt Mansion. Thank you.
12S is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents to award an amount not to exceed $125,958 from the Historic Preservation and Facade Improvement Program to 3517 Sutherland LLC for improvements and/or preservation of property located at 3517 Sutherland Avenue, 6th District.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Councilmember Adams.
I just wanted to say I'm excited about this happening on this property because I've driven by it so many times and wondered, like, that could be so cool. That could be so cool. So I'm really glad to see this property getting revitalized in that way.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12T is a resolution authorizing the Industrial Development Board of the City of Knoxville to negotiate and accept from 100 West Depot Investors LLC or an affiliate thereof payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to certain real property located at 100 West Depot Avenue, 108 West Depot Avenue, and 0 West Depot Avenue, and a portion of 300 West Depot Avenue in the City of Knoxville, Tennessee, and finding that such payments are deemed to be in the furtherance of the public purposes of the board as defined in Tennessee Code Annotated Section 7-53-305, 6th District.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Councilmember Grant?
Yeah, I just
want to, speak on this particular line item. I had the opportunity to go by the site. Me and RJ was able to spend some time there, really just to understand, the benefit that's going to come out of this particular development, what exactly a TIF is, and how us as a city, how we benefit by offering these incentives to developers coming in. So definitely looking forward to this particular project, having retail, having some more housing, 27 units that, that are going to be for the workforce. I'm definitely looking forward to this project.
Thank you. Any for Councilmember Thomas?
Yeah, just had a question. I think I heard the word retail. Is there going to be some retail as part of this project, or is it going to be all housing?
Yes, there is retail, about 7,000 square feet on the ground floor facing North Central Street.
I've been
Another
waiting.
stop for you.
Yep, and I've been waiting for that to happen because some of the construction downtown, not that it's bad, but it's been multifamily units, and we've kind of allowed them not to have retail on the ground floor, and for some valid reasons. I'm not saying it was, but I'm really glad to see one that has the retail on the ground floor, because that, kind of brings the community together. It's kind of like the quilt Matthew was talking about.
Councilmember Helsley?
I'd just like to say our city recorder is super pumped about this development down here. Because he can't say it for himself. It's for you, Will.
Okay. Councilmember Parker?
Yes, I also like that there's parking included with this development, so I'll add to the list of things we like. I will say I do think it's important to point out I appreciate and require for my support 10% of workforce housing to be included, but I also like to remind myself and others that this doesn't necessarily represent long-term affordable housing in that area. If this project is sold, they're no longer obligated to some of these things we've asked them to do. Sold and pay back the pilot. Let me add that in there. But I think this is a good process for bringing new developments to our city and shaping them in ways that we hope will benefit our residents.
Thank you. Seeing no further lights on, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I know the developers are here in the audience. Thank you for this proposal, and we're glad for your investment in our city. Next item, please.
12U is a resolution respectfully requesting Mayor Concanon modify her executive order of February 15, 2025 relative to waste, fraud, and abuse reporting to insert the internal auditor to also be included as receiving a copy of all reports.
We have one person signed up to speak in favor of this item, Rick Roach. Is Mr. Roach present? If you'd come up to this podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Rick Roach, Knoxville. February of 2025, something of this, in this order, you would think that that's a, I wouldn't say a no-brainer, but you would think that the auditor would be included in the language. Was the auditor up to this point in time included in the process? Maybe a member of the audit committee could speak to that. Members of the audit committee could speak to that. But to take a year, over a year to, yeah, our internal auditor might want to be included in this. So maybe we can have a little education on this particular situation.
That concludes people who signed up to speak to this. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Councilmember Parker, and then Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. For me, this is a matter of process and a matter of putting processes in place that show the residents that we are doing our due diligence as City Council and providing a level of oversight that the charter imagines that this legislative body would provide. I believe that the way that this fraud, waste, and abuse process was established was a little rocky and a little unfortunate. But as we move forward, I think we need to listen to the concerns that have been raised, which are, and have been documented by the media, that you know, if the executive branch is managing a process to investigate potential complaints against them, then we're not necessarily going to get the best outcome. And so while I see it as an improvement to add the internal auditor, I do think that we are coming short of what we need to be doing in terms of establishing a process by ordinance. And to the public forum speaker's point, we're now a year later from when this process was established. And the reason for the process being established by executive order was told to me as to, you know, quickly facilitate that process of putting something in place that the audit committee and city council would then formalize through the adoption of an ordinance. So it just concerns me that we're not moving in that direction of city council being over this process essentially, rather than asking the administration to make this change to the process. So I would encourage us, this is a priority of mine as a member of council, is that I would like to see the legislative body strengthened. I think for the public to have trust and faith in our local government, they need to believe that the legislative body is doing the work that is outlined in the charter for us to do. And I think sometimes it can be easier to defer to the administration. And of course, also we have sometimes advice given to us that can deter our willingness to put in the work. But I think on these issues, especially when we're talking about internal audits, it has to be under the city council's purview. So I would push for us to move forward with developing an ordinance that can be based on this executive order, and I hope that others agree and would support an ordinance coming forward. I think this year it would be fine for an ordinance to come forward. If we want to make changes to the process in the future, we can amend that ordinance, but it would be within our authority to do that rather than asking whether the administration agrees and would be willing to. So those are my thoughts on this.
Vice Mayor Fugit.
Thank you. I do intend to support this. I just want, for the record and for some historical context of how we got here. For the years that I was on the audit committee, I have to give a lot of credit to our former council member, Lauren Ryder, who was the chair of the audit committee, to first bring up the issue of creating a waste, fraud, and abuse hotline, which the city had not ever talked about or had. So this did come from the legislative body to create the waste, fraud, and abuse hotline. That was the first step. The other thing that Councilwoman Ryder did, which I think was a significant improvement to the audit committee, is she moved for us to add 3 external people who had a background in finance or audit, so that they would be technical experts on a committee which council members don't always bring to the table. The luck of the draw is who gets elected, whether you have an audit background or a financial background or not. So I think that the previous city council took a bold step, took its legislative authority, and started doing some things to improve that process. In the first step, this was by design, this would be the way we would do this, and it would be reviewed in a year. It has since come up for review, and this is the recommendation of the audit committee to change this. So I think this is not anything that is been hidden. Could it have been more robust way back? Probably so, but we're getting there. So I think that I do intend to support this, and will continue to work with the internal auditor and the chair of the audit committee to make sure that this goes smoothly and that we keep moving forward to do what we do as the legislative branch. So I haven't heard the mayor scream an objection to that when I've discussed it with her. So thank you.
Well, just since you mentioned that, I'll say I have no objection to this. We believe in checks and balances. We believe in transparency. We have nothing to hide. And we want to work with the audit committee and council make sure we have strong checks and balances. So this sounds like a reasonable thing for me. So, Councilmember DeBartoleben?
Yeah, Councilwoman, if you could, thank you for explaining the process to us who were on our first year here. In my experience, short experience on the audit committee, I feel like this process has served us well, and I agree wholeheartedly adding this extra layer of City Council's internal auditor to this process is useful. I would love to see it explored as becoming an ordinance so that future mayors and administrations have to abide by it. And so that's something I would love to see us explore going forward.
Councilmember Grant?
Yeah, so just co-signing what my counterpart just said, I think we've made progress. I mean, given from where we started to where we are now, and in realizing, that our internal auditor does work for council, right? So, and, she would be council's representation on this particular waistline. So, I don't think we give our internal auditor enough credit. Savannah, she's done a great job just in terms of communicating, being real informal, being on audit committee. We had some intense conversation, but credit to, the finance department for even being able to take that feedback and apply it as well. Yesterday, the Knox County Commission actually voted on a resolution recognizing Internal Audit Awareness Month. And so, I do want to give a shout out to Miss Savannah and say thank you for all the work that she's doing again. And hopefully as a city, we can adopt that same practice because, like I said, our auditors, they're very, very vital in terms of how we manage our money to make sure that we are doing the right thing. And, to same, I can agree with Councilwoman Parker and DeBartoleben in terms of visiting an ordinance in the future, just to be able to give future mayors an understanding on what to expect coming in. So, that's something that I also would like the council to possibly consider in the future. So, but we are making progress, and baby steps are still moving forward. And so I just want us to make sure that we realize that as well. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12V is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute any all documents necessary to apply jointly with Knox County for the 2025 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Award of $156,082 from the U.S. Department of Justice for improved operation of the criminal justice system, and if such application is approved, authorizing the mayor to accept such a grant award.
Motion made to approve. Seconded. One person has signed up to speak against this item. 12V, Rick Roach.
Rick Roach, Knoxville. There are two more items following. When I was looking at the agenda and I called in to sign up to speak on these, they were red lettered. What, is that where the ideal process would have been to vote on the three of them together? Is that by consent or whatever? Was that the plan?
Council's considering this one item right now.
Okay, okay. If I could request that I reserve, because I'm signed up to speak on the other two.
One was with moved.
Mr. Roach, when we get to 12X, you'll be called on again if that's what you wish, and you still have 2 minutes to speak on this one if you wish.
No, I'll wait.
Okay. That concludes the people who have signed up to speak to item 12V. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. In this agenda item, I believe was this grant application was due today, so it's already been submitted. Could you give us an overview of what's in that proposal, what's in that application?
Chief Noel?
Sure. We're asking for mobile radio consoles for our real-time information center, $40,000. About $48,000 for red dot sights, which are optics for firearms, and holsters to accommodate those optics on the firearms. And there's also a sub-award for Knox County for $42,000.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12X is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary to apply for and accept a grant award of up to $50,000 with no required local match from the University of Virginia Center for Public Safety and Justice and the Howard and Carol Safer Foundation to address forward-thinking innovation in public safety.
Motion made to approve and seconded. There's Mr. Roach who signed up to speak against this item, 12X. Mr. Roach, 12X is under consideration. If you could come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Rick Roach, Knoxville. It's not the amount that's being requested necessarily. Again, as Councilwoman Parker had requested previously, to get a breakdown of what this entails. And also, the concern that I have raised and others have raised over the last several years is about the oversight process. The audit committee can only do but so much. And, with just one internal auditor, I understand that, when it comes time to do the big one, we contract out, send contracts out. However, the concerns about the influx in this particular case of a private foundation, private, I guess public since it's from University of Virginia, and to make sure that the monies are expended as stated, as agreed to. Private foundation, federal government, state of Tennessee. It's a tad bit bewildering for the average person to understand how their tax dollars and then private foundation monies are all kind of mingled in to a municipal government. And whether or not that should be the path to bring in revenue to do whatever programs or whatever needs any department says that they need in order to fulfill the wishes of the people. I think there should be a deeper discussion amongst city council with the mayor in earnest, and to think about whatever needs to be done in terms of the city code, still staying in compliance with the state of Tennessee and also the federal government, about how these monies are used. If you wanted to do a little tracking, I remember we had, oh, well, I'm almost out. I'd just like you guys to start thinking about that.
Thank you. Council, that concludes the people signed up to speak to this item. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. This grant award would fund efforts to address forward-thinking innovation in public safety, which can, when it comes to public safety, it can be good or it can be dystopian. So that's why I asked these questions. Could you give us an overview of what you anticipate through this program?
Yeah, sure. So this is an innovation pilot. So what UVA is doing is putting this out there to let police departments try some new things. So I could kind of nerd out about stuff like this. So what we're looking at here is overdoses. So, there's no secret. We've talked about this a lot, both privately and publicly, that we're experiencing an increase of overdoses in our community. So what we want to propose to UVA is use our analysts to kind of take some of the social network analysis tools that we've used for focused deterrence and approach violence to look at overdoses to see if there's something that we could learn from that to try to either employ law enforcement measures in those areas with some of our narcotics enforcement, or direct social addiction service providers to some of those clusters to try to reduce some of the overdoses in our community.
And again, my only concern with the work addressing the opioid crisis in our community is, when running for office, especially when running for office, because we were talking about it a lot more in 2019, I was approached by multiple families, multiple parents who wanted an alternative to calling the police when their child was experiencing an overdose. And multiple parents that I've met who've lost children since I first talked with them. And I was going to bring this up on the previous agenda item 12W before it was removed, because when it comes to these opioid issues, my concern is that KPD is not the best response. Now, if we're talking about some of the law enforcement issues that arise, okay, but a lot of these funding programs that have been coming before us, like the one dealing with youth and families, and I went, and looked directly at the funding program to get a better sense of what they're looking for, and it seems like these efforts are to address it from a public health crisis rather than a criminal justice approach. And so it's, we don't have a health department in the city. Because of that, it seems we rely on KPD a lot for these social issues. But it seems like something that community safety and empowerment could take the lead on and be able to connect. When a community is needing more social services, that would be, the department that we could look to connect folks to those services or bring those services into community. I'm just failing to understand why we are leaning so much on KPD when it comes to the opioid issues. I see your light on. Are you wanting to?
Is that a question you want an answer to?
That is a question for the administration, yeah.
Well, KPD is not the only entity we rely on. We also work with Metro Drug Coalition, Positively Living, the Knoxville Fire Department. I'd say they respond to more overdose calls than any single entity in our city. So this is one $50,000 grant that if you all approve that and we get it, we could use to think through some of those issues. Obviously, we've had a public health approach to addressing violence in our city that's been very effective, and that's been a partnership and collaboration with the Office of Community Safety and Empowerment and KPD and various community partners and neighbors. So this is all of a piece of that. It's just one more possible way to continue innovating and addressing these needs. It's not the only one.
Well, and on this one, you know, what we're seeing is KPD's taking the lead. All I'm suggesting is let's let community safety and empowerment or a non-police response or approach take the lead on these issues.
Vice Mayor Fugit.
Thank you. Mayor, my question on this one in particular, I assume since it goes from the Center of Public Safety and Justice, only a law enforcement agency could apply for this one?
Yeah, I believe it's a law enforcement grant, and again, it's a small amount of money, and UVA works with police agencies across the country. I'm on their board of advisors. That's how I was made aware of this grant, and they're just looking to fund innovation to see what fun stuff is out there, new things that we could do to impact public safety and hopefully change law enforcement and the communities for the better. And there's a lot more we all could be doing on overdoses, but we're willing to step up now. And this is an analytical approach. I have analysts in my shop right now that are learning how to do this and getting better with it, and I'm super excited about it. I don't know if we're going to get it or not. But I'm super excited to take a crack at it if we do.
And Mayor, the last thing I would say is you mentioned the Metropolitan Drug Commission and Coalition, and Bethany Lemons, if you'll wave, for folks who don't know, she is now the Director of Preventative Services for MDC, so she is the person out doing a whole lot of work, working with lots of partners to help increase awareness about opioid and opioid prevention, opioid abuse prevention, so thank you.
Yeah, we're very grateful for Metro Drug Coalition. Councilmember Parker.
Well, I just wanted to emphasize that, when we have, we've had KPD take the lead on grant funding applications that bring in other partners at the beginning of that process. And that would be lovely to see. Let's not just hear about how KPD is approaching an issue, but I would love to see that at the beginning of a project of who else will be brought into it.
So if I may, our team really talked through that, and because this is such a small amount of money, what we want to do first, if we get this grant, we want to see what the information we gather shows us, and there may very well be an opportunity to partner with Metro Drug on this. We work with Metro Drug closely every single day. Partnering them on the front end without knowing, before we do the analysis, without knowing what that information is going to show us is probably a little premature, but that is something we absolutely talk through with my team, and a lot of people that are a lot smarter than I am recommended that approach. So if we're lucky enough to get this, that may absolutely be an opportunity for us.
Okay. Seeing no further questions or comments, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 13Z is an ordinance to amend the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
13AA is an ordinance making and fixing the annual appropriations for the several departments, agencies, and funds of the City of Knoxville for the fiscal period beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30, 2027, and providing for the authority to reappropriate non-project related encumbrances at the end of fiscal year 2025-2026 into fiscal year 2026-2027.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Council members, we have one person signed up to speak against item 13AA. Ms. Vivian Scheib, if you would come to the podium, you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Vivian Scheit, 3615 MLK, Knoxville 37914. Tonight, I want you to take a pause as you begin to discuss this budget. There are several areas of concern that I feel were not addressed in the budget reveal. Where are the dollars for the cooling centers? If it is as hot as it was cold this past winter, people will die in the heat just like they did in the cold. Why are you not funding the Office of Housing Stability to where they can have full staff so you can run the warming centers at 32 degrees? Full funding will allow you to work with the churches and get volunteers instead of depending on them to lead the charge to care for our fellow citizens. Why are the dollars allotted for the warming centers so scant, especially since relaunch will not be open next winter? Where are monies in this budget for mental health and the opioid problems that we're talking about? Why aren't there more dollars allotted for affordable housing? The numbers given are not enough. This time last year, you were rushing to fund the California group to the tune of almost $1 million for the violence training with monies allotted for 1 year. It's now coming up on the end of that year. What's next? Where is that report? Who will be hired? How will it be run? That information was not presented at the budget reveal, but we did not forget. These are just some issues that you need to look at. Slow your roll on approving this budget. All is not right.
Thank you. That concludes people who signed up to speak to this item. Council members, just want to say first, thank you for helping me and my administration develop this budget. This is something that doesn't just take a couple weeks or a couple months. It's something we have conversations about year-round. And this is a leaner budget than years past, but still focuses and supports our core essential services and keeps our lowest tax rate since 1974, which is important. Public safety is job one, and this budget reflects that. Another critical need in our community that we're all deeply and acutely aware of is the need for more affordable housing and homelessness prevention and shelter and warming centers. And this budget supports affordable housing and support for homelessness prevention and services as well. Also, thanks to all the people who worked on developing our parks master plan, the first one we've done in a while, maybe around 20 years, we can effectively move forward with investments in our parks, recreation, and greenways improvements to the tune of $7 million, including transforming Chilhowie Park from an event venue to a park. There's a lot to digest, and I know you just got your budget books on Friday, so I appreciate that in the coming weeks. Not only will you have a lengthy legislative hearing, which my staff will be prepared to answer your questions, and we will, that will be next week. And we are also, I've directed my team to, be there, give like a 1-minute overview, and then just be ready to answer your questions. We're not gonna have PowerPoint presentations. We'll have plenty of information available to share, but it's your hearings to ask the questions that you, and our job to answer those questions. So that's next week, and then 4 weeks from today, on May 26th, is the second reading. So appreciate everyone's contributions to this discussion so far, and look forward to further discussions in the weeks ahead. Vice Mayor Fugit.
Thank you. I just want to do a public reminder. All the new council people were made aware of this by our attorney, Mr. Frost, but the charter requires that city council pass the budget on first reading. We typically have a second reading of all ordinances passed on first reading within 2 weeks. So if this motion passes, and it needs to, it has to, I intend to make an immediate motion to delay the second reading for 4 weeks until May 26th, which is why the mayor keeps talking about May 26th, because that is not the sequence of our normal first reading, second reading timeline. So just for the benefit of everybody, that's what I'm going to be doing up here as we go through these budget amendments. Budget ordinances, excuse me.
Making and fixing. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. Each year I like to bring attention to my concerns with the budget process. And Vice Mayor laid out some of that timeline. So I can't remember what year it was now. I think it might have been 2023. But a few years ago, I brought forward some amendments to the charter that were not approved or adopted, and so they did not go up for a vote. But those amendments were, the purpose of them were to, in my opinion, make some improvements to our budget process, including changing our charter to put 4 weeks between each reading. Previously, we had the first reading of the budget. Everyone would vote in favor of the budget, or, before this council was in place. The media would report, the budget unanimously approved on first reading. Then a few days later, we have our legislative budget hearings. We used to have 2 days of legislative budget hearings, which I appreciated and miss. But then quickly, the following week, we would have the second reading and vote on the budget. That barely gave us any time to hear from the public, for the public to engage in the process, for us to ask all of our questions, and for us to consider any amendments to the budget. Without a charter amendment, I brought forward a resolution that would essentially ask that other council members would be in agreement with me that we would postpone that second reading for 2 weeks. And so we've made some adjustments to the calendar, but as was described, there's no final process in place. Once this council is gone, unless we are remembering this process and wanting to continue it, someone has to make that motion to postpone the budget rather than us having a process kind of codified already in place. So each year I do vote against the budget in the first reading. That helps bring some attention from the public. And it helps keep the media from saying the budget was unanimously approved and we just have one more vote on the budget before it moves forward. I think this is a really important part of our process. This is the only time we have a public hearing on the budget. The mayor has, the meetings that she has with department heads. We have the budget retreat. But when it comes to the public and hearing from the public and allowing the public to give input on the budget, that starts now. Once the budget becomes available, and we have a public hearing scheduled on it. So I also push back on these ideas that, because this has been a collaborative process and lots of folks have weighed in on the budget, that it's a done deal at this point. I don't want to send that message out. We are still in the midst of a budget process that will include a public hearing where we hope to hear from the public. Now, part of the reason why this process is not taken as seriously as I would hope is because we often don't have folks show up for that public hearing. So I'm hoping, people will show up this year and be in agreement with me that this process is important enough that the public should weigh in. The public hearings start at 5 p.m. on May 7th, and I encourage as many members of the public as are able to please participate. If you're not able to participate, please reach out, send an email, make a phone call, and engage in this process around this budget. I'm going to save my comments. I have lots of them for the legislative budget hearings, and I hope that we have enough time, and I hope that we have all the staff there necessary to go through all of the sections of the budget.
Thank you. Seeing no further lights, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Vice Mayor Fugit?
I would like to make a motion to postpone the second reading of this ordinance for 4 weeks to May 26th.
Okay, motion made to postpone second reading to May 26th has been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion about that motion? Councilmember Grant?
Yeah, and so just for clarity for myself and clarity for the public, we're going to have between now and May 26th, so we'll have 4 weeks.
It used to be
instead of
2 weeks. Council members said they needed more time, and that
Okay.
seems reasonable, and so we just make it 4 weeks.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, just in reference to the budget, I've had the opportunity, obviously not to look over its entirety. I will say that I'm proud that, our first responders are getting a raise. But I also want to keep in mind our Public Works Department. And I know we have a compensation study down the pipeline. We are making steps towards that, but realizing the level of urgency that we need in terms of our public works, right? When I looked at the budget, citywide, all city staff is getting a 2.5 increase, and our uniform staff is getting an additional 1.7% as well, which I think is great. But when I look at our public works staff, they're uniformed, right? They put on a uniform every day as well and make sure that, other city services that we don't necessarily see behind the scenes, they go on full display and they get out there every day and provide that service. And so while that compensation study is coming down the pipeline, I know it's going to take time as council members, as this administration, trying to do it with as much urgency as possible to get our Public Works Service Department to realize that we do care. But I just wanted to go ahead and put that on a record. And, I know this administration, I know us as council members, we're doing what we can, but just keep that level of urgency for our Public Works staff as well. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder, the motion on the floor is to postpone second reading to May 26th. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
13AB is an ordinance to levy a tax on all taxable properties, real, personal, and mixed, within the corporate limits of the city of Knoxville to provide sufficient revenues to fund the general fund and debt service fund, operations and debt service obligations of the city of Knoxville for the fiscal period beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30, 2027.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Vice Mayor Fugit.
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion to postpone the second reading of this ordinance to the May 26th meeting, which is 4 weeks from today.
Motion made to postpone second reading to May 26th. It's been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
13AC is an ordinance of the Council of the City of Knoxville to amend Chapter 2, Article 3, Division 2, Sections 2-450, 2-458, and 2-459 of the Knoxville City Code to adjust the classification and compensation plans.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Councilmember Parker.
Yes, Mayor. This is an area of the budget that I'm trying to get a better handle on, and so I'll have more questions over the next few weeks, as I have over the last few weeks. But there was and I didn't get a chance to ask this to Ms. Director Henderson before tonight's meeting, but there was a salary increase for general government employees listed in here, required by the comp study ordinance. Is
Ms. Cunningham, did you? the
sorry,
director-
Ms.
okay.
Cunningham. I
Yeah.
have done that how many times?
That's okay.
How
Ms.
many
Cunningham,
times?
Director of Human Resources.
So sorry.
If you could come to the podium. She's only been in office a couple months, so it's okay. Maybe say your name and address, not your address, but your role for the record, since you're relatively new to our city. We're glad to have you. Betsy Cunningham.
Thank you. Can you restate your question again for me?
I'm sorry. There's a section of this ordinance that says that we are implementing overall salary increase for general government employees as required by the comp study ordinance.
Yes. Yes, and what this is typically submitted this time of year. We do some cleanup, but specifically per the compensation study that the council approved previously, we provide an increase of the salary scales. So that's what we're doing, so that we increase general government pay rates by 1.5%, and then we increase the pay steps on uniformed by 2.5%, and then an additional 1.7 on the steps. So I think if you will look, I did a summary in the email, but we have all of the new pay scales attached to the actual AIS, which shows that increase that's granted this was the final year, I think, of the compensation study that the council agreed to do this for.
Okay, and so the language I'm talking about is the Knoxville City Code require, and this is in the ordinance, the second whereas, each of the minimum and maximum pay rates for general government employees to be increased by amount not less than 1.5%, effective July 1st. Okay, so that's what you're talking about, the pay rates.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I've been talking also to some city staff about this because initially I said, congratulations on your pay raise.
Oh.
And then realized we were just increasing the pay rate.
Exactly.
Not individuals' pay. Okay, thank you. That
You're
clarifies
welcome.
things.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Vice Mayor?
And for the third and final time, I make a motion to postpone the second reading of this ordinance for 4 weeks until the May 26th council meeting.
Motion made to postpone this item until May 26th has been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
What, I think it's the same one, just the delay to.
It's just postponing it till the May 26th.
Because it's tied to the budget?
It's all tied to the budget.
Oh, I don't, okay.
Excuse me?
We have to pass a budget to fund it, so it's tied to the budget.
Any further questions or discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
13A-D is an ordinance appropriating the total sum of $21,513.29 from the Parks and Recreation Department's fiscal year 26 operating budget and donating same for completed projects to various qualified organizations as part of the annual Challenge Grant Award Program.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Council members, we have 2 people signed up for public forum. The first is Vivian Shipe. Ms. Shipe? She's declining to speak at public forum. Next is Patty Thomas. Ms. Thomas, if you could come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
My name is Patty Thomas. My address is 113 South Van Gilder Street, I'm just going to make it short. I was here April the 14th, inquiring about the city trees that have extended onto my property, that have damaged the foundation of my home, the sidewalks, my walkway, let's see, in my yard. This is not, the damage is not cosmetic, it's structure and poses a long-term risk for the integrity of my home. When I was here on April the 14th, I was advised that someone will follow up, come out, will do an assessment on my property. Well, that has failed to happen again. I do have the pictures that I have taken. 2024 is when I really started pushing for this, but it go way beyond 24, probably like 10 years. I'm still asking the city for someone to come out to do this assessment on my property. I request that the city inspect and acknowledge responsibility for the damage that caused the trees located on the city property. I'm asking for correction action, including the migration of the tree roots and process addressing property repairs related to the issue. I don't understand why I have to wait so long to get this done. It's been over 10 years. I've been up and down risk management. I've been at the city council. I've been up to the mayor's office. And I'm still asking for someone to come out to do an assessment on my property because of the trees. It's tearing up my house. And my homeowner insurance said it is not their responsibility. They keep sending me back to the city. No one will come out to do an assessment on the tree roots or whatever. So someone please come out to do an assessment on my property because that's my home where I have to live. Thank you.
Council, that concludes public forum, and without objection, this meeting is adjourned.